And we should be live now.
All right, welcome everyone to another episode of the CMTK Talk Hour, where we continue our investigation of the creatures that appear in all Star Wars films worth talking about. And this is your favorite couple of Turkic overlords, CM Kozeman and PK Sivgin presenting. I hope everybody's having a nice day. And without much ado, let's go and have a deep dive into the creatures which appear in Star Wars Episode 2, The Attack of the Clones, arguably one of my most favorite movies ever.
Is it really?
I mean, it really is out there. Like, if I had to make a top 10 list, this would have to be one of them.
Really? I mean, as a film, I don't know. I always felt it was maybe the weakest of the original six.
Oh,
I still like it, but I don't know. It feels like the least Star Wars, if that makes sense. Because
hmm.
because it's the one. It's out of all the six movies, it's the one with the least war when you think about it.
The least war.
Yeah, because the Clone Wars only start happening in like the last 10 minutes. And before that, it's either like one half is like this detective story with Obi-Wan, and the other half is Anakin's romance with Padme.
But then there's this incredible arena showdown in Geonosis,
Yeah, I mean,
which
that's
actually has an enormous land battle, and where you see all those, like, if you want war, you got it, man.
Yeah, but it's only at the very end of the movie. But you know, it's Star Wars. It's supposed to be, the whole movie should be about a war when you think,
Ah,
because there does it
well,
make sense what I'm talking about? Like this should have been about like the whole movie should have been about the Clone Wars, but it only starts happening in the last bit, and in the next movie it's already ending. And to get a look at that war, you have to watch a T show.
yeah,
That's
it's
kind of
incredible. Also, sorry, it's also incredible that the whole term Clone Wars was just coined by this throwaway line in the original Star Wars film.
Oh, it's so funny how much George Lucas had already planned by the first movie already.
Yeah, it was all in his mind. But actually, that one, like, imagine if he was like not talking about clones, but if he had called it Android Wars or something, it was just as likely. And
I
can
mean,
you imagine?
I mean, technically it was also an android war.
Yeah. But that line, that one line in the original 1970 Star Wars film, where he said, where Leia says, "Oh, you served the Republic well in the Clone Wars" or something. You know, what if George Lucas was feeling different in the morning and he just said, I mean, he could have easily written Android Wars or
Or
Cyber
Vietnam.
Wars or something, you know, or Gamergate Wars, who knows? Oh, well. But before diving deep, how are things? Let's do a little introduction. Do you want to promote anything? How are things going for you?
Oh, things are going well. The museum I work at, has reopened and now has a different name.
What museum do you work for, by the way?
Like, I
What's...
used to work at the Zoological Museum of Zurich, but
Uh-huh.
now that museum has combined its exhibition space and its connection with the
Mhm.
anthropological, the paleontological, and botanic sections of the university. So now it is the
Oh,
Natural History Museum of Zurich.
oh, yeah, fully integrated. Does it mean your collections are changing or your building is getting renovated or something like that?
It is in a constant state of renovation, let's say it like that. And there's like big plans for the 2030 to like really expand its space.
Whoa. Man, I can't even plan 1 week ahead. It's really bold of them to plan for the 2030 and beyond.
Yeah,
But
but it is happening.
congratulations, you've been doing some exhibits there, right?
Yeah, because we got like 4 big new dinosaur skeletons from the one in Atal. And we
Uh-huh,
have
uh-huh.
now in the main hall we have a big original Diplodocus. We have
Mhm.
an Allo. We have Big L.
Yeah.
We have Victoria, the Hesperosaurus, and even Barbara, a little Nanosaurus, which are like these little dryosaur type ornithopods. Well, not really
Oh.
like it is outside ornithopoda, but you know what I mean, like these
Yeah.
small bipedal herbivores.
And if people go to this museum, which part is made by you specifically? Like, do
Uh,
you...
I have my fingerprints actually in every part of the new exhibits because I was writing a lot of those info texts that you find on the touchscreens, and
Ah, that's really
like,
nice.
and on one info desk you see my art of outdated Stegosaurus constructions.
Really huge congratulations, my friend.
Yeah.
Like, I'm really proud of your work there. Like outside the scope of our podcast, but still, it always makes me happy to see my friends like thrive. And it's also very rare that somebody actually gets paid doing something they like. Congratulations.
Yeah, it's still amazing that I got this job. Also, I will, like in 2 days, I will actually be giving a presentation at the museum.
So our millions of listeners, if they want to visit this museum and if you want to visit your presentation, where should they go?
To the Natural History Museum of Zurich on Thursday, March 28th at 6 in the evening.
Well, I wish I could travel anywhere outside of Turkey. I would love to see you. And congratulations. On my end, things are okay. I just completed this big movie crypt video and business as usual, firing on all cylinders. And if you want to support, look, both TK Sivgin and me have day jobs. If you want to support us, you know where to go. Patreon. The links are below and in the pinned comment. And with that out of the way, let's get in with Star Wars Episode 2.
I mean, didn't you want to talk about what's happening on your side?
Oh yeah, I already told you the video.
Yeah, but did our listeners hear that? Because I think you told me that before we started recording.
Oh, there's another incident with the cat, which I completely forgot. Yes. So my family cat has gone completely blind. This cat is being cared for by my mother, father, and when she them. And she just completely went blind in the last month. But like really, her eyes are like two green glass marbles. And this day earlier, long story short, there's a balcony and I was potting some plants there. The deep lore of this cat goes all the way back to when my parents and like basically our extended family lived together under one roof in a bigger house with a garden. Now, I used to have potted plants in the garden too. And when I was doing the potting, the cat would always come and like lounge next to me or play with the pots and whatever. And like today, even in her blind state, she came up to the balcony playing with the pots and stuff. And I was like, oh, goddamn cat. How have times changed, huh? I mean, life's a weird adventure and stuff. And then the weather was so nice that it was my mistake. I left her in the balcony and went out. Turns out she actually like somehow jumped from the balcony to an adjacent rooftop and then down onto another rooftop and then literally avoided death and fell down into somebody else's balcony. My parents had to go rescue her and it was like a weird but awkward but cute situation. So yeah, press F to pay respects for the death-defying cat. These motherfuckers, they really have 9 lives. It's not just an idiot.
Well, how many has it left now?
I think it's on a loan from the Cat Life Bank. I mean, it had some rough adventures, this cat, but it always bounced back, and I hope it will be with us for years to come. But she's nearly 18 years old, so and also blind.
That's really old for a cat.
Yeah.
But I mean, good for it's a she cat, right?
Yeah.
Good for her. It sounds like she has had a fulfilling life.
Yeah. I mean, on the bigger scheme of things, it's a cosmetic problem. But when you have a pet, there's a special connection. And anyways, that is that. Let's turn away from the plight and pain of real life
animals. Let's talk about
animals.
space cats. The next.
Yeah. So, I think we should tackle by order of appearance. And I mean, in the wild case that you haven't watched Episode 2, Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones, but you are somehow watching us two talk about it. The movie starts with a kind of detective mystery, and it starts with Princess Amidala sleeping, and then some evil robot comes. And this robot is so fucking evil. It doesn't just shoot the person, or it's not even like a drone. Because if you come to think of it, whoever sent this droid to assassinate the princess could have as well, packed it with some explosives and it could have flown in through the window and boom, and that's that. But no, this is such like a Dick Tracy type evil, like Dr. Gadget, Inspector Gadget sort of evil robot, that it just cuts a little hole in the window and it releases these space centipedes who then go into the room and somehow like try to sting the princess. I think it's like a really stupid way to assassinate somebody. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, the whole assassination plot is so weird because at the top you have Count Dooku wanting to assassinate her, so he hires Jango Fett, and then Jango Fett hires this other alien that can like change her face.
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
Alien then uses a robot, and then that robot uses those centipedes. So it's like outsourcing and outsourcing and outsourcing.
Yeah, it's like 5 times outsourced. I mean, Dooku could just have sent one drone. And you know, in this day and age of like creeping global war, you do see what terrifying weapons drones can make. But yeah, you have to pay a guy to hire a droid to launch a centipede. But like the more people you involve in this conspiracy, the worse it gets, basically. But I guess it's like, I don't know, it's space. Who knows? Maybe there's a valid reason. Who knows? But I actually really liked the design of these centipedes. They're called Cohoons, and it's Kouaun, Cohoon. And
I am right now trying to look for them in the Essential Guide to Alien Species.
yeah, so it looks like, I mean, I remember they look like giant maggots with insect-like legs. The way they move is like a lizard. They do not look like centipede. I mean, centipedes have something else going. They have a long body, short legs. These things are something else, and to drive home that they're deadly, they also have this kind of like really nasty looking needle in their mouth.
That's a bit similar to onychophorans, velvet worms. Because those have like a single blade in their mouth. That's like very weird.
Do they? They also have these like almost turret-like organs.
Yeah, they have that, and they have a mouth part that is just a single blade that like they have like such cute looking faces, but when they eat, they have the single blade that comes out to slice things. They're such fascinating.
Wow. I'm just looking at these now, and yeah, it's like you would not want to be bitten by these. Onychophoran mouths also always remind me of Anomalocaris and relative. I mean, they have this circular arrangement, and I don't know.
I mean, yeah, onychophorans are like if they were extinct today, we would classify them as stem arthropods instead of being their own phylum. And they were already around in the Cambrian, like Hallucigenia, for example, was an onychophoran.
Aisheia, there's one.
Yeah, that one too.
Yeah,
like,
I never
whole
forget
class of
that
the
one.
lobopods. Those are all basically ancestors of the velvet worms.
Like the more I study Cambrian fossils, sorry, we're going on a tangent, but I think
that's good.
Tangents are one of the.
Let that tangent flow.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, tangents are like the bread and butter of this channel, and I kind of have a hunch that these things might be directly related to Anomalocaris and maybe even to things like Opabinia. I don't know. They all look like a bunch of like weird, unhardened arthropod adjacent weirdos to me, but
I mean,
I guess we could never tell.
That is essentially correct. Like these are all like stem arthropods that are somewhere between velvet worms and tardigrades and true arthropods. So it makes sense that they all look similar because their last common ancestor probably lived somewhere around the beginning of the Cambrian.
Yeah. Have you ever seen one of them in real life?
Anomalocaris? That's a bit hard.
No, Onychophorans.
No, I don't think I've ever seen a real one, like not even in a zoo.
Yeah,
but
I only watched movies. Sorry.
I want to say, like, I think you can actually buy them for like terrariums, but I'm not sure if that's even.
Yeah, I think one of the followers of this channel, his online handle is Kyre Fiskrov. He breeds them, and like, I don't know if he sells them. And let's not make any claims about them in case it's not legal. But he keeps them, and the way they move and stuff, like it's one of those things which I would like to see in a forest, you know, like just go and explore.
I wonder what their skin feels like, because for our listeners who don't know, like these are not true arthropods. They don't have an exoskeleton. They are squishy, but they have still like a dry skin. Like they're not like worms. So I wonder if the name velvet worm comes from the possibility that they actually feel velvety.
To touch, I don't know. Also, how big do they get?
Oh, like this, I think.
So TK Sirgin is showing me a 20 centimeters
Like
length.
as long as most centipedes, I think, from the videos I've seen. Like they can be
Oh.
pretty big compared to insects.
Oh, anyways, these are like the one of the cool animals I think we both would like to see in real life. But yeah, but also, so that's the connection to the Kohun creature, and you take it away from there. Like, any more to say about those, or?
No, like I said, like I don't know, I found the idea always just creepy. Like imagine you sleeping at night and then these giant centipedes come under your bed sheet.
Oh yeah. The way the Jedi destroy these centipedes in the last moment, it's like
that is also intense. Like with the lightsaber, like a millimeter away from Amidala's face.
Yeah, it's like a precision cut, and I think it's Anakin that does this, and it kind of foreshadows their dangerous romance. The scenes in this movie are, I think, the closest original Star Wars films get to displaying any hint of sexuality. Like there's this one scene when Anakin and Padme are in Naboo and they're like romancing, but like they eat these apples and like Anakin uses the apple to like and like he makes the apple float to her mouth, and because it's CG, she actually cuts the apple in midair with a knife. But because it's CG, I never forget this particular scene. Because it is CG, the knife goes like, if you're cutting a real apple, that thing is a bit hard and like crunchy almost. But because it's CG, the knife goes through with little or no effort, and it feels like the apple is made out of aerogel
or maybe it was just like a mini lightsaber, the knife.
Or maybe, yeah. I mean, it's either that one or the other.
Like, have you ever watched the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie? They have like a gag there where they have like a butter knife, but it functions like a lightsaber, so it toasts the bread as you're cutting it.
Oh, I faintly remember this, but I need to watch it again.
Yeah, a great movie, by the way.
Is it? I remember the design of the Wogon crease. They had this.
Oh yeah.
It's a very British design. I mean, it could, like, you could put those things in a Monty Python film and they would not look out of place.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, it's generally a very British movie. I think Douglas Adams is British, right?
Yeah.
I've also read the books, and they have this very, very nice type of British humor.
Yeah. Truth be told, like, and I know these are divisive comments, so I won't pursue them much, but as science fiction, it's not one of my favorite books at all. And
I mean, I mostly read them as comedy.
Yeah. I mean, for comedy, but like I speak to people and I like, I'm into science fiction. It's like, Hitchhiker's Guide, haha, Babelfish, haha, 42, wow, oh, okay. I mean, I can maybe manage a wistful smile and I say, okay, that's cool, bro.
I mean, yeah, but I think it's mainly comedy. I mean, that happens to also be sci-fi. I mean, Spaceballs technically also is sci-fi, but we know it as a comedy.
Spaceballs always felt like the slapstick Leslie Nielsen films that were really popular in the 70s and 80s.
Of course, it was made by Mel Brooks. He was the parody movie guy.
Yeah. So I have like, I don't know. I like those films like Spaceballs, Airplane.
Oh god, that's so good.
And then there's like a whole bunch of movies with Leslie Nielsen in them, and he's like this sort of, and like his films went on until the 1990s, which is like bizarre if you think about it. He still had movies like Mr. Magoo and stuff like going on. Anyways, sorry, we're drifting too far off.
The funniest thing about Leslie Nielsen is that before Airplane, he was known as like a very, very serious actor, which is the reason why they actually hired him for this movie, because they found it funny to have like one of the most serious actors known at the time say these like really funny lines and play them.
I did not know about this.
And since then, everyone thinks he was always a comedy actor. It's so funny.
Yeah, I mean, I always saw. I mean, when I was a kid in the 1990s, his films were on the TV like all the time, and for that reason, they shaped the sense of humor for huge generation. Anyways, this is like too far off the quest. But then what happens? You want to walk us through it, or?
I guess the next big creature we encounter is Dexter Jettster, which is like a friend of Obi-Wan that owns a 1950s diner.
Yeah. So the queen barely escapes assassination by these hentai centipede. And then there's this
Oh no
big
no no wait
wild.
wait, wait we forgot like the assassin itself is also an alien. It's like this
Oh yeah.
shape-shifting creature with like she presents as a woman, but when as she dies, like her face reverts to like this to like
Yeah,
the
this sort of
previous one.
green, like
Yeah, and
almost like
as a kid,
Gamorrean type thing.
and
Yeah.
as a kid, that always scared the hell out of me. That was the scariest part of the movie for me, actually.
It was really uncanny. I really like those chase scenes. So the centipedes are killed, and Anakin jumps on the little drone that threw the centipedes into the room, and there's this wild chase across Coruscant.
Yeah, that
And
is like probably one of the most iconic prequel scenes because
yeah, that's one of the reasons why I will like defend this movie as like one of the best films ever. I mean,
yeah,
just
I mean it's yeah, I mean what I love about the prequels is just how George builds this world just so we are sad and that this era ends.
yeah,
'Cause
yeah,
we know,
yeah, yeah.
and we know that it's gonna end and that it's not gonna be shiny and sophisticated anymore.
Yeah, it's not gonna have a good ending. It's almost like Weimarian in setting.
Exactly. I mean, eventually when we get to episode 3, we will talk about all the politics. But for now,
Yeah.
let's focus on the creatures. So I wanted to talk about Dexter.
Yeah, yeah. Just a little bit more about the setting of Coruscant. Like, as someone who grew up with the original films, and then I read all these extended universe books about the Star Wars universe, and they always kept talking about Coruscant, Coruscant, Coruscant, the city planet. The whole planet is one city, and then like you read this for years, and then you see it for real. Okay, the effects look a little dated and stuff, but it was really
Not much.
mind expanding. Like the closest thing to this in cinema was The Fifth Element, with the like incredible depiction of New York with floating cars and like canyon like buildings.
Which movie came first?
Fifth Element came first.
Came
it was
first.
like-
Okay. Like
It was like 1995.
okay, because Clone War, Attack of the Clones was I think 2000.
Yeah. We could also talk about The Fifth Element too. I mean, it like shaped my mind.
I
But
have
yeah.
to I have to admit I still have not watched the movie in full.
Ah, you need
Like
to.
I just never had the opportunity, honestly.
You watch that, and I'll watch The Hitchhiker's Guide again. I mean,
Okay.
Deal.
And we will do like a double feature podcast.
Yeah. Oh
Great
man,
idea.
Fifth Element. I mean, it's just like it's shaped so much. I mean, the whole like apparently chunks of the plot were like straight out stolen from like comic books of the age of the 1970s and stuff. But like,
Well, then again, like many of those, I just watched that documentary, and many of those 70s comic books stole from Jodorowsky's Dune,
yeah, so it's kind of like their hands on each other's pockets, kind of.
and it all goes back to Salvador Dali.
Yeah,
Was
I wonder where the ultimate origin of those narratives, like the incredible city, the world-covering city, philosophically, where does it all go back to?
Like a city, the idea of a planet that is one big.
Mm.
Where would that start? That's actually a question. Who started that trope? Like,
It's always-
I always thought it was Star Wars, but no wait, there was this. I think it was a comic book, and later they made a movie about it. Valerian.
Valerian plus
think-
Asimov's Foundation had a
Yeah, I
planet-sized
think those
city.
could have been the first ones that invented that trope.
Yeah, it was Otranto. That's a nice book. I still have to read. But yeah, also our viewers, what do you think about the planetary city trope? And let's move on from the city into the chase. And so Anakin catches and kills the shapeshifter. And I mean, she starts out like a weird assassin lady, but then turns into a green, like really like as far as Star Wars goes, that alien looks really countering. It looks like a green alien, or actually, it looks positively Burroughsian, like one of those green Martians.
To be honest, as a kid, I always thought it was a human, and like the poison that she was injected with by Jango Fett turned her into this.
Ah, interesting.
Yeah, I never got until I never understood until I read like the fan wiki that it actually was like a shape-shifting alien.
Yeah, the whole idea of the shape-shifting assassin is also like a very old sci-fi and fantasy trope.
I think it goes back to Dune again. Like in Dune, there are like a race of mutant called face changers or face dancers.
Yeah. I mean, you got something similar with the Game of Thrones.
Yeah, the faceless man.
Give the man a name. And there are more obscure things, like one of my favorite authors, Jack Vance, has a book called The Anome, and it's Anome. And this is like this weird society in which, don't ask why, everybody wears an explosive necklace. And
Can I ask why?
so
No, it's a joke. You don't have to explain. I'll just accept it for now.
well, I don't know, but so this planet has one ruler, but nobody knows who he is, okay? And if he sees a crime, he has this major controller. He can just push a button and blow your head off. So these things happen every now and then, but nobody knows who pushed the button. And this ruler of the world is also called the Faceless Man. So there's another reflection of that trope, but kind of like spun on its head, maybe. So it's a long thing. I think it goes back even like it may go back into even older times, and I would not be surprised if, like, in medieval stories or something, there are these like fables of people who can change their shapes. I think it like kind of even dovetails into the whole myth of the changeling, but I don't know, it's just like too deep into the subtext for us.
I think in like East Asian mythology there are also these evil spirits that can steal your face.
Oh yeah, true. And aren't there these like accounts from the pioneering days of photography where people were, especially American natives apparently, were afraid to be photographed because they were worried it would steal their souls or something.
I don't know if that's true. That's honestly, I only know that as a joke from The Simpsons, where like the grandpa is photographed by someone and then he says, "You stole my soul."
Oh, I did not know about that, but yeah, maybe, who knows. But then we move on to one of my favorite alien designs ever, Jax or Dax. What was his name?
Dexter Jetster, I think. I don't know if that's his actual full name or if that's like a nickname, but it fits him.
Yeah.
And in the German dub of the movie, he's voiced by the same guy that does Mr. Krabs from SpongeBob. And I always loved that. And it also fits him really well.
Yeah, come to think of it. So, like, you want to describe this creature for us?
Basically, like, it's like a big, like, he owns a diner, and of course he is like shaped like a big stereotypical chef cook. And I think he has 6 limbs, like 2 legs, 4 arms, and he has this like very broad face, I don't know, like frog face, I guess. I don't know, it just looks like a big body you just wanna hug.
Yeah, he also has a range of armadillo-like but vestigial scutes on his back, which I always thought was a really cool design. Like, you could see this thing evolved from something. Maybe generations ago they were like more heavily armored, but as they developed civilization, perhaps the armor was reduced, and perhaps in their world someone with lots of armor could be seen as a backwards or like some hairy person in today, like, you know, atavistic. And the way his arms are shaped and they move, they're not like Goro in Mortal Kombat, where it's just the same couple of arms replicated. By the way, that's a great movie too, Mortal Kombat. They actually have these like weird set of muscle attachments which makes him look really alien. His arms don't look like human or even mammalian at all. Like,
yeah. A note for like creature designers: if you have a creature with more than 2 arms, then you also have to add more than 2 shoulders and more than 2 chest muscle for those arms to work.
Yeah, they just can't come out of flab in skin. I guess they can, but then they would have to be very weak. But that is, of course, if you have muscles that work with a kind of Earth-style attachment. But yeah, don't forget that that's good praxis. That's what people call these days. That's good praxis in Spec-Evo design. But also, you could vary the attachments of your muscles. So if you study mammal muscles or bird muscles or even reptile muscles, you kind of see that each group has the same groups of muscles, yes, but they have this unique way that the muscles kind of attach to bones, and they just kind of look different. And that's always rewarding study. And anyways, Dexter's a great design. And apparently he's into, like, it's implied that he's into shagging robots because he has a girlfriend. And this girlfriend is this like robot that rolls out on one wheel, like a very crazy contraption.
Yeah, basically he's a waitress.
She's got breasts, and a skirt and butt are also implied.
Yeah, wait. Now I'm curious. I want to look up what her name is in canon. Let me quickly Google that.
Yeah.
But yeah, keep on talking.
Yeah, I'm just looking up an image of her as well. And at one point, the robot even calls him honey. Like, somebody's here to see you, honey. Jedi from the looks of him. And, well, I guess, I don't know, Dexter must be pretty lonely in that world. So he has his own, it's a legit sex android there. I don't know.
Oh god, I just remembered there is apparently like some story from the expanded canon where Dexter dated Maz Kanata. Do you remember who that
Really?
was? Yeah, like the little alien, like the old alien woman
Fake
from the
Yoda. Fake
sequel.
Yoda in the new movies, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Her design was really bad, I have to say. That look, those like pursed lemon looking eyes, and the blatant way she's like African American coded.
Was she?
And I mean,
It's been years since I watched this, to be honest.
yeah, it's like so woven with tropes, and like she's always like wisecracking or dropping these Marvel style one-liners.
Yeah.
Like in one part of the sequels, they literally like call him, they call her. They literally do a kind of FaceTime call, and then she says, "I'm too busy. There's a union dispute," and like shooting lasers and stuff. And come on.
Yeah, the only line I remember is when I think Rey asks how she got a loose lightsaber, and she says, "A good question for another time." That was just so emblematic of everything that J.J. Abrams does.
Oh, very creative writing. Give this guy his medal right now. Yeah, I don't have kind things to say about his work, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, but let's go back to happier times. 2002,
Yeah.
1 year after 9/11.
More civilized, happier time. Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, Dex and these robots, they're cool and wild. And then we have the Camino sequence, right?
Yes, like from Dexter, Obi-Wan learns where the assassins came from, and that brings him to Camino.
Yeah, so just like some funny plot too, like, so the shape-shifting assassin is shot by Jango Fett, who is using a very strange rifle. It's almost like an air rifle.
Yeah, like a blowpipe, almost.
Yeah. And then it has a deadly poison, but it's delivered by this like almost V2 missile-shaped tiny thing with spikes embedded in its fins. Do you remember that?
Maybe, yeah. I mean,
So
I have the movie right in front of me. I could just rewind and watch that sequence.
So it's a very strange bullet, and I'm not really sure if that thing is even aerodynamic, but the Star Wars universe, so who cares? But it has forward sweeping wings, and on top of those wings are the poisonous needles. So it's like almost like a upside down or inverted book with wing. Oh well.
Yeah. Anyway, from that, Obi-Wan learns the like location of Jango Fett, and so he goes to Camino, which is that Camino. Like now that I think about it, it's always been a bit weird that these are like creatures that obviously like live on land, but I think their whole planet is just one ocean.
Yeah.
So how could they evolve?
Sorry, you were saying?
Like how did they evolve if their whole planet is just?
Well, I think that's probably hinted that these things evolved before the sea levels rose. So they've been reduced to these. I don't know if that's canon or legends or whatever. I'm just making my own hypothesis, by the way. But these things evolved before the waters rose. And maybe they're like millions of years old. And maybe that wisdom is what makes them such expert cloners.
So this is the future of the people of Florida, is what you're saying.
Well, maybe.
Because if they want to stay in Florida, they have to adapt these like offshore platforms. Because that peninsula is gonna get flooded.
So get this, that movie came out, I think, right at the same time, or like slightly before or after, as Steven Spielberg's Artificial Intelligence. And in the Artificial Intelligence movie, there's a race of very advanced robots.
Oh yeah, I
live in the
remember.
Earth's future. Remember those?
Yeah.
So they always looked very similar to the Kaminoans in my mind's eye, because they're all like unearthly and lanky. And throughout the movie, it's made very clear, like from the way their eyes move and like even their color palette and stuff, that these Kaminoans are like way more advanced than anybody else.
Yeah, I have a bit of trivia about those robot aliens from AI. Like they are actually based on unused alien concepts for 2001: A Space Odyssey.
Wow.
Yeah,
Deep explore.
like 2001 was originally going to end with David Bowman actually meeting the aliens that built the monoliths. But they, like Kubrick, just didn't like the designs, and he also just didn't want to reveal the mystery. So he scrapped that concept. But then later, when he made that Spielberg, they appear to have reused some of those concept arts.
Well, I mean, it was a very striking design, and
now that I think about it, like the design of like the interiors on Camino, they are like those. They have this 2001 vibe, so maybe there actually is a connection.
Just a second, we can cut this part out. Okay. Oh, it can stay too. Yeah, that's like a real interesting symbolism. But yeah, I mean, also like when you meet the Kaminoans, it's like a whole other part of Star Wars you never knew existed, because Star Wars was all about like everything being gritty, like there's like pipes and panels everywhere. All the tech looks low tech, and this was the first time we see a kind of like advanced, or let us say Sirius or Pleiades, like, you know, UFO encounter type tech.
Yeah, they always, the Kaminoans also like creeped me out as a kid, because they did remind me of like the typical gray aliens.
Yeah, you had a phobia of them.
Yeah, I still have.
Yeah, I mean, I would not want to watch one of those scary abduction movies at night. So count me in too.
Have you ever watched Fire in the Sky?
Oh,
it's like the scariest one out of them all.
Yeah, it's like that needs, for me, if I watch that, the cool down and recovery time is at least 2. I won't be able to straight before then. I find this terrifying, because the gray alien thing is something you can never completely deny. İyi geceler. You can never completely deny it could come out at any second and get to you. And it could also be like a vision even. So like it doesn't even have to be real, but you could still be plagued by this vision and this creature, and that was always very scary for me.
Now that you said it, don't look behind you.
I'm just like, by the way, for posterity, we are recording at nearly 1 a.m. and I'm just in this weird groove where talking seems so much smoother and easier for me, but at the same time my eyes are closing and it's like a nice cool vibe to kind of course through. All right, so
Camino, they are pretty cool. They also ride these like
Tranta creatures. Yes, the sky whales.
Yeah, like, no, I think they have an official name, like Avila.
Aiwas, I think, like air whales, right?
Wait, I almost have, yeah, Aiwa. Yes, sounds almost like something out of Avatar.
Yeah. I mean, that was like a very long recycled theme in Star Wars 2. I mean, I think the first concepts were drawn by Ralph McQuarrie for Cloud City or even Alderaan.
Those are like canon there too, you're right.
And yeah, George Lucas really liked the idea of these floating giant creatures above a grassland planet, and then he tried to integrate them everywhere, but the technology wasn't there when they were The Empire Strikes Back. So now they included it here, and it explodes out of a wave and then flies towards the city, and it's just a very, very nice setting to establish that we're no longer in Kansas. This is a weird, different planet. And I really like this subtle detail where, so when we first see one of those floating animals and they explode out of the sea and continue flying, and there's a rider on the back of and you see when the animal is just coming out of water, the rider was keeping its head flush with the body of the creature, and as soon as it comes to open air, he like rears up. And it's just like a very cool way to show that these things are quote unquote real, and they sit that way underwater as to reduce drag. So yeah,
it's a pretty cool. it's a pretty cool world building detail. You're right.
Yep.
So after Camino and the clone,
Then we get to the showdown.
yeah,
Or do we get
yeah, we
to
get
the...
to like yeah, Obi-Wan follows Jango Fett to Geonosis, and there we meet this like race of insect aliens that are like responsible for building all of the droids of the Separatist Alliance.
Oh, yeah. And they're also responsible for part of my body image perception, and I wanted to be them and speak like them. So they're like these really, really cool. Oh, the last bit was an actual cough. But so they like hide in the walls, much like the aliens in the Alien franchise, and they look really like insectile, and they got wings, they can fly, and it was just fascinating to see some aliens as quote unquote inhuman in terms of body plan as these being represented on the big screen. And yeah, they capture everybody, and there's this great and unforgettable arena scene. I think like seriously, this film, especially the scenes on Geonosis, they must be in the Bible of anybody who wants to be a creature designer or animator for movies or games or just in general.
It was also my favorite scene of this movie too.
Freaking fantastic. So our heroes, Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin, and Padme, they're like caught and tied to columns, this arena, waiting for their execution by these three incredible monsters. So why don't you go pick one and describe it? And
I mean, my favorite always was the Ackley, which was this.
Yes.
This basically like this. It's kind of like if you mix a praying mantis, a crab, and a dinosaur.
And a pterosaur even.
Yeah, I guess so because of the arms.
Yeah. So it's a creature with 6 limbs. The 4 rear limbs are like big insect-like, but the 2 front limbs actually look like the skinned wing finger of a pterosaur. It has like 3 small digits, like a beginning of a hand, but the final digit is really long and like kind of like spare or sight-like. And it just like attacks that way. It's a beautiful creature design.
Wow, like I'm looking at the picture right now. I never noticed that it does have these like little fingers at the wrist.
Yeah. As you watch the film,
you're
they
totally
even
right.
open and close as the creature moves.
Like you're totally right. It is like a pterosaur wing.
Yeah. It's just a great design. And I think, sadly, we discussed the same with the Colo Clawfish. This thing does not have a model for sale or a toy.
Yeah. As a kid, I actually foam rubber build it. Like as a kid, I actually Memo is almost falling asleep. I'm sorry, dear audience.
Yeah. This is a very, very bizarre episode of the CMTK podcast. I am like very tired, but also very talkative. It's like this dream phase where you almost like fall asleep, but hypnotically your mouth just talks on and on and on.
Great.
And sorry for occasional yawns. And well, let me wake up a little by describing the other creatures in the arena.
Wait, no, but I wanted to tell you about like my favorite childhood hobby. Like,
oh, okay.
I used to have. You know what foam rubber is? Like in German, it's called Moos. It's like you can buy this at every craft store. Basically, I cut it into shapes, and I would just like how is it called? Musterschrauben to make the limbs movable and such. And I actually would create like my own fauna this way. Problem is, I have lost many of those figures I have made over the years.
Do you have any we could?
Wait, let me see. Okay, wait, I found. Okay, I have found a few small ones.
So we are looking at these. Ah, okay.
This is meant to be. The light is a bit. It's meant to be like an Archaeopteryx type bird thing.
It really looks like your style. So I'm looking at this foam rubber cutout thing, but it depicts an Archaeopteryx, but still the body is kind of stylized and long like a snake. And it really looks like your drawings from Hard Assure and the other projects you're running. Yeah. Really nice stuff. Really
I made this when I was like 9 years old.
Yeah.
This weird lizard thingy I made with like a fin on its back and no arms.
Oh, that's not a wing. Okay.
This is
it looks Did you ever use this as reference for one of your artwork creations?
No, actually, yeah, like I said, because many of these I have lost over the years.
Looks like it could come from your version of Mars.
Could, you're right. I had a much larger version thing somewhere, but I don't know anymore where.
Yes. And well, should I go back to the arena and describe the other creatures? All right. So the other two creatures which attack our heroes in the arena, and by the way, the whole scene architecture, like there's this one scene where they're brought out on a kind of sacrificial cart and they face this entire arena full of these insect creatures. I think we saw echoes of that in the Jedi Prime sequence in the second Dune movie.
Yeah, except there were no cool monsters.
Yeah, there's just this bald guy who likes to lick blades and stab bitches, but yeah. But still, and that was like really impressive in its own.
Yeah, yeah, the Jedi Prime scene, like it was like a very nice tribute to the Jodorowsky Dune, where they wanted to make the Harkonnen planet designed by H.R. Geiger.
Did you notice this also subtle hat tip where we're talking about Dune now, by the way?
Dune 2 specifically.
Yeah, Dune 2. So the bad boy character, Fade Ratwa, like he's like a depraved playboy, but also he's secretly being primed as a candidate for the future emperor of the galaxy or whatever. So there's a scene where one of those Bene Gesserit, well, I'm just gonna call them Bene Gesserit bitches, like plays mind tricks on him. And there's this sequence where he's like, your tricks don't work on me, harlot. And then she's like, are you sure? And like shows a little shoulder. And then he's like, where am I? And then like they somehow end up in his bedroom. Looks like a very high-end sadomaso club in Los Angeles or something. But did you notice in the architecture of that room, there are these elements that look like xenomorph heads in the background?
No, I didn't notice that.
So, like, I mean, go look up Fade Ratwa bedroom or something. Our audience can also look up. There's all these like little pipe-like elements in the background, and they read almost exactly. If you watch the first, I swear I'm not like hallucinating in my sleep, but I'm just edging the world of sleep now, and I'm coming away with amazing insights. But if you watch the original Alien movie, there's this last bit where the alien stows away in the Nostromo escape pod, and it's very well camouflaged. Its head looks like a pipe. You remember that bit?
Yeah, I do. Like you don't even notice it, even though it's like in plain view, because it blends in so well with the architecture.
Yeah. So Fade Ratwa's bedroom in the Jedi Prime sequence in Dune 2 looks like that little element from the original Alien film. If you're listening this far into my sleepy ramblings, and if you agree, please let us know in the comments. At least I know I'm not hallucinating. But yeah, that was a nice hat tip from that's kind of like, that's a hat tip from a movie that's not Star Wars, but they're all connected with the arena sequence.
Well, they're connected through more than just that, because like we talked about in like at the first part of the series, George Lucas lifted a lot from the
true,
like
true, very true.
Already in the first movie they talk about like Luke's father having been a navigator on the spice freighters and such.
Yeah. But going back at the arena, then we see a few other creatures.
Yeah, there's the Reek and the Nexu. The Reek, I also really like that.
I think the Nexu was my second favorite. It has these jumping spider eyes. And the way it blinks is that they blink in alternating rows, like, and the way it moves, it's like nothing you know. It's like a cat, but also like a gecko, and it's got a very unique body plan, and you can really see it move. And like the way that thing is animated, it must be taught in character design classes around the world too.
Also, interesting detail how easily it is killed, which kind of makes sense because it is kind of built and moves like a cheetah, which actually have like very fragile skeleton.
Yeah.
Like if it were like a tiger, it would have probably survived that ramming by the.
Was it rammed by the Reek, or
like
was
Anakin,
it down?
Like
There's
at
this.
one point in the fight, like Anakin starts riding the rig and he rams it directly into the
Oh,
next to it's like killed immediately.
yeah. I also remember this one shot where Padme climbs on top of a column and the next two runs up trying to catch her, but then she kicks it and it falls down to the ground breathless. Then comes back up to attack again, and just a wonderful, it's like lovely animated.
It's a really the cool thing about all of these arena creatures is that you can kind of see where the influence came from, but they are blended in so well that you can't say where like the spider starts and like the spider stops and the cat picks or something like that.
Yeah.
But it's like one homogeneous creature, even though it is like a chimera. That's the cool thing about Star Wars designs.
Yeah, and that's
they wear their inspirations on their sleeves, but they still appear organic.
Yeah, I think that's testament to the genius of Terrell Whitlatch. Although I think some of the arena creatures, including the Nexu, were not designed by her, but somebody else.
I think Terrell Whitlatch was mostly in like episode 1, and after those movies there were other designers.
Yeah.
About the Reek, did you know that its inspiration was Placerias from the Triassic?
Yeah, the mammal-like reptile, and they're known for a lot of fossils, right?
Lystrosaurus is, which is like a closely related animal. Placerias, I think, was rarer, but also larger.
I remember before starting this podcast, one of our neatest interactions was you emailing me like detailed views of the skulls of these creatures.
Oh yeah, that's how we became friends, basically.
Yeah, those were something else. Like you really see, it's got forward-facing eyes and everything.
They were just Dicynodons, like that's the type of animal we are talking about right now. Like Dicynodons are such weird creatures. Like they are related to mammals, but they have like so many turtle-like and almost bird-like characteristics in their face.
Yeah, I still like off the cuff, but I still would like to believe that they were the intelligent race or races that brought about the end Permian extinction by quote-unquote man-made natural apocalypse. But in this case, it's not man-made, it's intelligent Dicynodon. Yeah, one of my weird evolution.
Like, what was your idea that they were like used social and used fire to?
Yeah, I genuinely think like it would not be surprising if they were like giant sheep-sized termites, and they maybe they used fire, maybe they did something, but they altered the world climate very rapidly, unimaginably.
I mean, this speculative scenario, wouldn't their abundance make more sense if they were not the intelligences, but instead the livestock of another intelligence? Because like future paleontologists, they will probably not find many fossils of humans, but they will sure as hell find many fossils of cows and chicken.
That's very, very true, which makes us suspect who shepherds those before man. Who was the shepherd of the Dicynodon? Maybe we're better off not knowing.
Yeah, I mean, there is this. I kind of dislike this trope nowadays that it's like it's intelligent Suminias. To anyone who doesn't know, Suminia was another of these synapsids from the Permian that was like very monkey-like, like almost a lemur-like tree dweller. And of course, like many people like to speculate, oh, if the Permian extinction didn't happen, these things could have evolved into humans and such, which of course is a bit ridiculous because evolution just doesn't work that way.
I mean, who knows?
I mean, there are other interesting creatures from the Permian that I could imagine evolving like intelligence. For example, there were these creatures called bolosaurs, which were para-reptiles. So they were actually some relatives of the paraeosaurs, like Stegosaurus.
Is it spelled B-O-U-L? B-O-L-U?
Yeah, B-O-L-O Saurus. And one member, like these were like lizard-like reptiles, but at least one of their members was Oedibamus. And Oedibamus, like there are various studies which have confirmed that this was possibly the earliest known bipedal animal. Like it could actually, like not just like a modern basilisk lizard, like it could actually stand and walk at the normal pace.
Yeah.
Two legs, like a small dinosaur. And it was
behold a man.
Yeah, and it was already running around like that during the same time as like Dimetrodon. And there are like many authors who have noted that this is almost a bit anachronistic. Like like the locomotion of this animal was way ahead of its time. At a
Yeah,
time where like
true.
most other animals were like sprawl-legged quadrupeds.
Yeah, but
And of course, you couldn't have fun with that creature and imagine, well, what if they grew larger in size? What if they grew like larger brains? And then you have like pseudo dinosauroid creatures.
mind blowing. What if some dinosaurs were pseudo dinosaurid creatures like this? Herrerasaurs, perhaps.
Herrerasaurus definitely was a dinosaur, but it's the interesting thing about it is that it probably was not a true theropod, but was a Saurischia dinosaur that evolved before the split of Sauropodomorpha and Theropoda.
Oh yeah. Well, we're going off from tangent to tangent, but I think sleep is coming to me knocking. So we're almost done with the creatures of episode 2, right?
I mean, yeah, the only thing we could also talk about is like before the arena scene starts, you have this moment where like Count Dooku with all of these alien leaders and forms like a separatist alliance, and
the banking clan will join you.
No, wait, he says like the banking clan will sign your treaty.
Oh yeah, I remember.
Those things are cool, and then there's these like things that have to talk with subtitles, and the coolest ones are like those techno union guys. That, and it's such a cute detail. Like as it talks, it has to like adjust its like voice box, and it kind of malfunctions. So it first was like it talks like the techno union.
That's like, what Tumblr, the thing that looks like
and then it
looks like a 1950s like. It looks like a diving suit, to be honest.
Yeah, right. You're right. Yeah, but that was such a cool detail that he had to like adjust his voice box mid-sentence because he doesn't really talk like a human. And I don't know, I always like, I'm gonna be honest, in like the Clone Wars and such, I always liked the Separatists more than the Republic because they just
I agree. I've been on record actually.
Yeah, it's like an alliance of aliens that fight with robots. Isn't that just? And then the Republic have like these boring ass Jedi and literally clone troops.
And they represent more diversity. They are more ethical about their approach to life, or as much as we see in the films at least. They encompass more diversity, and they just want less taxes. So a lot to like about them.
And that's the perverse thing about how Palpatine orchestrated this entire war. Like he basically created an enemy out of all things he as a xenophobe hated, so that the entire Republic would end up hating that too, and he could like create propaganda to suppress like robots and aliens.
All right, I see.
Yeah, we will talk about that when we come to Revenge of the Sith, like all of those perverse politics that have such it
was almost prescient. I mean, it was almost a beat by beat recapture of what happened in American politics in the last decade.
Yeah, and of course it was inspired a lot by what has actually happened in history, but we will get to that when we get to that.
History is like poetry, it rhymes. So before like really falling over like a narcoleptic, I must also bring to attention these minor arena creatures you see on Geonosis. And they really look like, we spoke a lot about Permian creatures, and they really look like something that could have evolved in the Triassic period.
Yeah, you mean those things that like carry the chariots, right?
Yeah, so they have these long faces, almost like that one crocodilian Stomatosuchus with the kind of flattened but long, almost like a weird smooth warthog kind of thing. But the rest of the body has upright legs, and it's like a little chunky, almost Brachiosaurus type body without the long neck. So it's a subtle creature, you don't see it much, but it was just one of the really many cool details about this film. Like,
yeah, another interesting world building detail from that always stuck out to me is that you notice that they have their tails cut off so that they can more efficiently carry the chariots.
Yep.
It's like such an unnecessary but very neat world building detail.
I think it was kind of like an animator shortcut.
Yeah, of course, but it is like, I mean, people have to do this in real life to their animals, very regrettably.
Yeah.
Like those, like there's like these dog breeds where it's like tradition that you cut off their tail, and it's so
because they draw
up.
sledges and stuff, huh?
No, not just for aesthetic reasons. It's fucked up.
They also cut their ears.
Yeah, it like.
People also cut their own fucking faces. I mean, if you think about it, a
I mean,
lot of
but that's a
plastic
different
surgery.
thing. That's a different thing because you yourself can consent to what is happening to your face, but an
Yeah.
animal cannot consent and probably will not consent to its tail being cut off. That's just
Yeah. Okay, point taken. They sometimes do that to horses as well.
what exactly do they do to horses?
They cut the tail off, or like at least shave the hair very
Yeah,
close.
but isn't the tail of a horse mostly hair? Like,
It is, but in some cases even that is cut off. But I don't really know. I mean, I remember like, especially for war purposes, some horses have their like at least tail hair chopped off. So there.
yeah, but wait, I have to look at like a skeletal of a horse because I always thought like donkeys they have like a long tail, but horses have basically no tail and it's almost all hair.
I mean, you should check to corroborate, but I think horses have a longish tail too. It's just kind of lost among all the powerful rear legs and the butt and the hair and everything.
When I type in horsehair, it's probably gonna be the plant.
Oh well.
Ah, you're right. There is like some bone to. Oh no, wait. No, it's a horsehair that has been braided. The picture that I'm seeing right now.
Oh.
But no, I look. I think literally it is all just hair.
All right then. Yeah,
going
I guess.
around the little stump. Anyway, I think we are done for today.
Yeah, before you drift into unconsciousness, be sure to give a final kiss, a final na na. The crystal ship is being filled. 1,000 dreams, 1,000 girls. Sorry, everybody, I'm being really sleepy. But man, thank you so much for your patience. This was an experience. I realized by like literally edging close to sleep makes me a better speaker.
You're gonna dream about Star Wars tonight.
Mm,
You're gonna have in the middle of the night. You're gonna have a night terror attack. Your body will be paralyzed, and over your bed see the face of him, Jar Jar. Misa back. Scream and shit your heart out.
no, I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I come to think of it, I'm like racking my brain trying to remember, because I write down my dreams. Sometimes I remember like the best ones, but to my knowledge, I did not have any Star Wars themed dreams so far.
Yeah. Maybe you will have tonight. And dreams,
I-
that's another good topic for a future episode.
Yeah. I actually have a big video on dreams and the kinds of dreams.
Yeah.
It's still in like production hell, but yeah, I'm trying to hash that out. But wherever you are and whatever you dream about, thank you for your patience with me and TK Sivgin as we discuss the creatures of Star Wars Episode 2, Attack of the Clones. Any closing comments before I fuck off to sleep? I don't know what time is it for you, but
And there is only one thing I will say.
uh-huh.
May the Force be with you.
All right, everybody. You heard it. Take care. Please consider. Look, I've been working my ass off. I'm so sleepy because I work a day job. If you support me on Patreon, but forget that, you should support TK Sivgin first on his Patreon. The links are below. We would be so much in your debt. And you know, it's only fair. Look, you give $1 a month, okay? It's like fucking nothing. But I know there's hundreds and hundreds of you. Like, if all of you put your money where your mouths are or where your ears are, both of us could really like have a more decent work-life balance and find more time to record these podcasts and also not be sleepy. So there's that for me. Goodbye.
Goodbye.